Hello class. So today we are comparing three different texts. They're all science articles. The first one, how we speak. The second one, what are vocal cords? And the third one, dogs and birds making noises. So if you notice here, we have a diagram, right? So we have the nasal cavity. You can see where the nose is in the profile, where the teeth would be, and the lips and the tongue, vocal cords, and what we call the larynx or the voice box, the trachea, the esophagus, right, the trachea goes down to your lungs and the esophagus goes down to your stomach. And we have, this is the pharynx, right, and then the oral cavity, the back of your mouth. All right, so words to know. As you read, look inside, around, and beyond these words to figure out what they mean. Release and vibrate. Speaking is possible because we have special parts in our bodies: lungs, throat, voice box, tongue, and lips. When we speak, we release air from our lungs. If we're going to speak a long sentence, our brains tell our bodies to push out a long puff of air. If we're speaking only a word or two, the puff will be smaller. The puff of air goes through the lungs, through the larynx, which is made up of cartilage and muscle. The larynx, often called the voice box, contains vocal cords that stretch across the opening. When the air passes through the vocal cords, they vibrate or move back and forth quickly and make a sound. What are vocal cords? By Hong Cao. Words to know. As you read, look inside and around and beyond these words to figure out what they mean. Concert, automatically. If you think that vocal cords are like strings on a guitar, you would be wrong. Actually, vocal cords are vocal folds, or mini layers of tissue that vibrate in your larynx. You can still use the term vocal cords, however, as both terms mean the same thing, the vocal cords have a V shape. How do we use the vocal cords? To make a high sound, we tighten the vocal cords. To make a low sound, we relax the cords. And most people do all this without even thinking. So now the sound is coming through the vocal cords, but the sound isn't a word yet. What happens next is that we use our tongue, our throat, tongue, mouth, and lips to shape the sounds into vowels and consonants. So if you look here, this is the trachea. These are the vocal folds, and this would be your tongue. So this would be looking in the back of somebody's throat. For example, say a word like football or window. Notice how you open your mouth and move it around when you change vowels and consonants. Notice how you move your tongue and change its shape as you speak. You're making a fancy concert of sounds inside your mouth. Speaking seems like the most natural thing in the world, and when we do speak, we rarely, if ever, think about how we create words and sentences. Even so, we understand we aren't born knowing how to make words automatically. Dogs and Birds Making Noise by Antonelli Kuznets. And we see a diagram here of some birds' sound-making structures. So they have air sacs, a syrinx, a trachea, a larynx, a tongue, and then the bill. So theirs looks different than ours, right? Words to know. As you read, look inside, around, and beyond these words to figure out what they mean. Variety, anatomy, and imitate. Animals can make a variety of sounds, from the loud barking of a dog to the sweet sound of a bird. How do animals make these sounds? A dog can make quite a few sounds, from whines to loud barking sounds. Scientists say that the dog has vocal cords much like a human's inside its throat, thorax, or chest. So why can't a dog speak? The big difference is in the dog's anatomy, or the structure of its body. A dog's mouth is not as flexible as a human's. A dog can't move its mouth to make it smaller or roll its tongue in different positions. So after the air passes through the vocal cords, the dog can't change the sound very much. Birds, on the other hand, can make a wide variety of sounds. Some birds, like parrots, can even imitate human speech. Singing birds have a larynx, but they don't have vocal cords. Instead, a singing bird uses its syrinx to make sounds. The syrinx is in the throat and is made up of membranes, like thin pieces of skin, that form the sounds when air passes through them. Birds can vary the sounds by squeezing and loosening the tension of the muscle in the syrinx. They move their esophagus, windpipe, pharynx, and move to vary the sounds. Like humans, birds have to learn how to make these sounds. Some birds, like vultures and some storks, don't have a syrinx, so you'll never hear these birds singing a note. I hope you enjoyed these articles as much as I did. Let me know if you have any questions.